Andrew, Reale of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. My name is Chris Chichester. You know my name because we have talked numerous times. And when we talk, I strive to exercise civility. And what you don't know, in the numerous times we have talked, that it's extremely difficult for me to exercise civility with you because I've always believed in the attainment of civility. And sometimes I don't achieve it because I'm not perfect. But in the times we have spoken, I'm trying to achieve civility. So I'm going to try to achieve civility throughout the length of this YouTube, and I don't know how long it's going to last. So I called it Why. And you know exactly why I decided to call it Why. Because I don't know why you have done what you have done to me. Because I have never committed a crime. As I sit here, I've never harassed anybody in my life. And Andrew, this is your handwriting. And you know this is your handwriting. It says harassment second on it. So, Andrew, I'm going to tell you what you already know. I go to now defunct PW Fitness in Penfield. I'm at the back of the gym. Up walks to me Jermaine Bettman. He motions with his hand rapidly for me to get off the machine. I don't acknowledge Jermaine Bettman at the gym because Jermaine Bettman's the gym's psychopath. And he behaves in appalling, disgusting ways at the gym. So I say simply to Jermaine Bettman, I'll be 30 seconds. He stands over me, he punches down. And my head snaps back violently. He starts to walk away, and I had to make a decision not to respond with violence and take him to the ground, which I can do. And I have never believed in violence. And that day, I should have embraced the violence by attacking Jermaine Bettman, because then it's just another fight at the gym. And if it's just another fight at the gym, then I'm not going to be charged with harassment second by you. So, a witness calls the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, and you arrive. And when you arrive, Andrew, you see it's me. You know me, because it is parking lot, because of criminal contempt, where criminal contempt is not a crime, and I have contempt for repulsive, sick, $67,000 Shannon Meyer, who should be fired immediately. So, Andrew, why? Are you going to do what you're about to do to me? This is your handwriting. You tell me and Jermaine Bettman to go out to your vehicle. You tell me to wait in the backseat of your vehicle, I do. I'm looking at the front window of your Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle as you're talking to Jermaine Bettman. Because you're telling Jermaine Bettman the 7 words to say to me, Andrew, in the concoction of a crime. And you walk around to the side of the vehicle, and Jermaine Bettman says to me, I want to press charges against you. And with those 7 words, I'm charged with harassment sitting in the backseat of your Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle. You, Andrew, are paid $79,088 to concoct harassment second for me when I'm not harassing anyone. I've never harassed anyone in my life, and I'm sitting in the backseat of your vehicle. How's that explained? I mean, I contacted your boss immediately after this happened. You know what I hear from Sheriff Todd Baxter? Not one goddamn word. It's the blue wall of Todd Baxter embraces corruption, and what you did to me that day is concoct a crime for me. Andrew, harassment second. So it's harassment second. What's the name of the human being I'm harassing, Andrew? How's that question answered for the United States Department of Justice? So, I leave PW Fitness that day, and I have this ticket that you wrote with your handwriting. And I walk down the sidewalk on Penfield Road. I'm looking at it. I'm thinking, how am I charged with harassment second? Well, I'm not harassing anyone. I've never harassed anybody in my life. As I'm 55 years old, I've been in multiple relationships in my life. And my ex-girlfriends, I believe outside of my family, know me just as well as my family members. And every single ex-girlfriend will say, he's never harassed anyone. He's not like that. It's not his character. And since my character is under siege by you and the other fanatics at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, I will defend my character by citing people in my life. And what I know people in my life think about me. Like my ex-girlfriend, Reale, who I have known for 35 years, and I used to live with at 26 Sanders Farm Drive in Penfield. If there's a person on planet Earth, since I was 20 years old, that knows I've never harassed anyone, it's Reale. When you've known someone for 35 years, they know exactly who you are. When you've lived with someone and you're in a relationship, and you know just about everything about that person, Laura would say, he's never harassed anyone. It's not his character. It's impossible for him to harass anyone. I don't know the exact language Laura would choose, but that's what she would communicate. Because it's not like him to harass anyone. And I'm nothing special in that regard. Because there are tens of millions of decent citizens that have never harassed anyone. But since my name is on this ticket with your handwriting, and I'm charged with harassment second, I'm not harassing anyone, then I'm going to defend my character against you and your $79,088 a year salary. You paid $79,088 to do this to me. Why? Why did you do this to me? I had to go home with this ticket in my hand. Then I had to call my mother and father that night. And I had to tell my 78-year-old mother what I've just said here to you and in more detail. And she cried on the phone. You know why my mother cried on the phone, Andrew? My mother knows I've never harassed anybody in my life. Then I had to talk to my 84-year-old father, and I had to tell him the same thing. I'm not trying to elicit sympathy from you or anybody. I'm just telling you the way it is and what happened. These were agonizing phone calls and conversations I had. It was with multiple phone calls that night. Because of this ticket, because of you, because of what you did to me. And they were in astonishment that I could be charged with harassment second, sitting in the backseat of a police vehicle. And that is the word, astonishment. I mean, there were points in the conversation, as I spoke to them individually, they weren't on the phone at the same time, when there's pausing. And because they're thinking about, what has just happened to him? Is this really happened to him? And then we had to continue the conversation where I'm trying to clarify what's happened. And it was at a point where I'm thinking they don't believe me. This is what you did to me. Why did you do this to me? Who am I harassing, Andrew? So, and toward the end of the conversation with my mother, it was one of the worst moments of my life. The way she sounded and what she was saying to me. My mother knows I never harassed anybody in my life. So, your mom and dad, Andrew, I don't know anything about you. But your mom and dad, if you have children, then you're doing your best for your children. You want to be a moral example for your children. And just like tens of millions of mothers and fathers, it's exactly where my mother and father have been their whole life. My mother stayed at home and raised me and my brother and sister. My father worked for the Long Island newspaper Newsday for 20 plus years. He worked for Grumman and General Electric. He had an excellent career. And he worked hard. So I'm on the phone with my father. I'm telling my father about this. And I had to maintain my composure, telling my father that I'm charged with harassment second, with your handwriting here. And I had this ticket in my hand. That's why I continue to hold it up. And as I'm on the phone with my father, I'm looking at your handwriting in this ticket. I'm telling my father how I'm charged with harassment second, sitting in the backseat of your vehicle. This should never happen in the United States of America to an innocent man. So, and then you walked into Penfield Town Court. You know, I told you about this day where all I did is come outside, tell a guy in his tractor for brown colored tree and lawn care. Nobody owns this land and walk back in my house. You know about this day. Criminal contempt. So you know, when I had appeared in Penfield Town Court before John P. Lorenzo Jr., you know about both of these concoctions. You know about both of these, Andrew. And you walked into Penfield Town Court in the show trial, the Soviet Union show trial in this disgusting, sickening, nauseating room with John P. Lomenzo Jr. without a prosecutor talking. She's there. This is the time was a prosecutor there. So I stand in front of 70-year-old John P. Lomenzo Jr. in this Soviet Union show trial without counsel. I do not have a public defender. I do not have a private attorney for a number of reasons. I haven't committed a crime. I don't need an attorney for. That's what I'm thinking when I'm walking over there. And Andrew, when I'm walking over there to the library, Laura Reale, when we lived in Webster, is hired at the Penfield Public Library. And one night we were sitting on the bed, and we did a mock interview, Laura and I, where I pretended I was somebody at the Penfield Public Library interviewing her. So she was really happy that night. She went to the interview at the Penfield Public Library and she got the job. So Laura and I moved from Webster to Penfield because Laura's hired at the Penfield Public Library. And I would go over and see her. So Andrew, when I would go over to see Laura, I don't know, when I open up that door, and at the end of the hallway is Penfield Town Court, even though Laura works at the Penfield Public Library. So Andrew, I walk over there that day. And as I'm walking over there, I'm just thinking, I haven't committed a crime, it'll be dismissed. Because I don't know that you and John P. Lomenzo Jr. are consumed by hatred. I walk in there. I'm in front of Lomenzo. I look to the left. Prosecutor doesn't talk. He declares me guilty. I go in the back, Andrew, and there you are, waiting for me. You know you charged me with harassment second sitting in the back seat of your vehicle. Who am I harassing, Andrew? How's it possible to be charged with harassment second sitting in the back seat of a police vehicle? And then you're there to take me to jail, knowing you did this to me. Do you know that I haven't committed a crime? Andrew, have I committed a crime? Is it a crime to walk outside and tell a guy in a tractor nobody owns that land next to my residence and walk back in my house? Is it a crime when I'm getting my head snapped back at the gym by Jermaine Bettman? Was Jermaine Bettman in the back seat of your Monroe County Sheriff's Office? And then did I harass Jermaine Bettman in the back seat of your vehicle? So there you are waiting for me to take me to jail without a prosecutor talking. And this time in Penfield Town Court, there was a prosecutor. The next time I appeared, there wasn't. So here I am at the Soviet Union show trial, where you and John P. Lomenzo are the stars. I take a step away because I can't believe I'm about to go to jail as an innocent man. Does innocence matter to you, Andrew? So then I went to my knees. There you are, and there was somebody else there from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office too. I'm on my knees in Penfield Town Court, and I screamed, "You're violating my rights." I don't scream, Andrew, ever. I'm just not that type of human being. Even when I watch my New York Jets and New York Mets on TV, I just don't scream. Even in Game 6 of the 1986 World Series, when Mookie Wilson was up, and there's Ray Knight on second base, and this could very well be the end for the Mets. And if you're a baseball fan, you know what happened. Ball went right through Bill Buckner's legs. And here comes Ray Knight. I didn't scream. This is my team since I was 7 years old, and my father took me to Shea Stadium for the first time. I was happy. I was jumping up and down in the barracks at 101st, but I'm not screaming because I don't scream. Even at moments in life where there is just absolute and total joy, where you can just be in ecstasy about something that happened in your life that fills you up with joy and happiness, I just don't scream because it's not in my nature and my character. I'm not saying this as something that's praiseworthy. It's just not who I am as a human being. So I'm not trying to elicit praise or have anybody say, well, oh, isn't that terrific that that's the way he is? It's just the way I am. So there I am in Penfield Town Court, and I screamed, "You're violating my rights because of you, Andrew." Why? What's the name of the human being I'm harassing, Andrew? Has this happened in the United States of America to an innocent man? So I had to write my mom and dad this email after I got home from jail. Even though I told them about it right away. Then I went into more detail in his email. Here. This is 3,000 plus words right here to my mother and father after I got home from jail about what happened. I told my mom and dad what happened in jail, about how I was physically attacked in jail too. I was physically attacked in jail, Andrew, because of you. I wasn't attacked by you, but I was in jail because of you, without the prosecutor talking. So, what's wrong with you, Andrew? So, this is a list of salaries. The district attorney's office. You know what I've been demanding from Sandra Dorley? What's the name? Sandra Dorley, district attorney of Monroe County. This is everybody. I hope this is a re-election defeat if this fossil decides to run again for office. But these are the six-figure assistant district attorneys. Not as uncommon as it used to be, but I believe people are going to be enraged about $129,525 Perry Duckles. Isn't that right, Perry? What the hell do you do for $129,525? You know what you do, Perry? You refuse to tell me the name of your prosecutor both times at Penfield Town Court, first before John P. Lomenzo Jr., second before Paul Metzer, who doesn't talk. Perry, tell me the name. I'm going to send this to you, and you're going to sign for it at the district attorney's office. So, what's the name of the prosecutor who doesn't talk in Penfield Town Court? Perry Duckles, first before John P. Lomenzo Jr., and second before bald-headed, wig-wearing Paul Metzer, who doesn't know what century she lives in. So Andrew, no son should ever have to write an email like this to his mother and father, and that's because of you. I understand you have people in your life that love you and care about you. I don't know anything about you. I don't know if you're married, if you have children. I don't know anything. It's none of my business. But there are times where I'm thinking about you. Doesn't he know I have family and friends? I've had to tell my friends about this. I worked in Albany, Washington, D.C. for a long time. I told my ex-girlfriend in Washington, D.C., we're still in contact, about what happened to me on email, and then she called me. I wrote her and told her, and then she called me and said words to the effect of, I read your email, and let's talk about that. And we talked. And just like everybody I talked to, how are you charged with harassment second, sitting in the backseat of the vehicle? How's it a crime? I faxed her, not faxed her. I put it in PDF, and I sent her a copy of this. And I had a little square here. And I said, all I did is come out and stand here and go back to my house. And she emailed me back. And again, it's astonishment. How is that a crime? It's not a crime. You work with this $91,000 Lee LaRoe. You know, she came in here and went berserk, Andrew, because of the fanatics, degenerates, and sociopaths in Monroe County Sheriff's Office. This is a search warrant. It's not a search warrant. Isn't that right, Leah? This is not a search warrant. You, Paul Metzley, bald-headed, wig-wearing degenerate, typed this document, Penfield Town Court, gave it to Lee LaRoe. She contacted my landlords, and that's how you got in here. You see this document, Andrew? My father gave me his dresser from when he was a child in Brooklyn. The drawers on the dresser were pulled open. They're looking for a hammer. It's ludicrous. Everything in here is ludicrous. They're looking for a hammer. That's why they tore my residence apart. Pulled the dressers out, the drawers out of the dresser. And then when I got home, I'm looking in there. I'm thinking, how do they go and invade my life like this by going through my father's dresser? There were papers on the floor downstairs that I have in folders. When I come to YouTube, they threw them all over the floor. My dress screens from the 101st were on the floor in the upstairs spare bedroom. The cabinets downstairs below the sink were all pulled out. The cabinets below the upstairs bedroom were pulled out. They went down in the basement. They tore apart the basement because I know the way the basement looks. So I'll go down here and lift weights. So you know what your residence looks like. It's supposed to look like the way it's supposed to look like. And they're down there in my residence. They're on the first floor, the second floor. This is what Lee LaRoe did to me. This is not a search warrant, Andrew. I'm going to read you your fanaticism. It says, Honorable Paul C. Metzler, you don't know a fucking thing about honor, you bald-headed, wig-wearing criminal. Issuing judge to any deputy sheriff of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office and any other police officer in the state of New York. Now, Andrew, you're not a deputy sheriff, right? It says to any deputy sheriff of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Any deputy. How many deputy sheriffs do you have there, Andrew? 10, 15, 20? I don't know. I didn't even know that was a title. So I'm going to read that again from the beginning because the second part is the one that concerns me the most about this fanaticism, legality, this extra constitutional descent on my life. To any deputy sheriff of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office and any other police officer in the state of New York. Any other police officer in the state of New York. Have you ever been to Long Island, Andrew? Because the easternmost part of Long Island is Montauk. And my grandpa used to take me fishing out there. And we'd be way out on the boat, fishing for bluefish. And he taught me everything I know about fishing. So, Andrew, can any other police officer in the state of New York, from Montauk, the easternmost part of Long Island, all the way to Buffalo, come into my residence? Can any other police officer in the state of New York, from Plattsburgh, New York, up near the Canadian border, all the way down to New York City, come into my residence? To any other police officer in the state of New York? Can any police officer in the state of New York, from Fredonia, New York, State University of New York, to Albany, New York, where I used to work, come in here? From Montauk to New York City to Plattsburgh, Plattsburgh to Fredonia, Fredonia across the state, through Rochester, through Syracuse, through Binghamton, to Albany, come in here? The answer is yes, because it says it right here. To any other police officer in the state of New York. Proof affidavit. Where's the affidavit, you bald-headed, wig-wearing, degenerate Paul Metzger? There is none. So I'm going to tell the United States Department of Justice. So, you know what they did, Andrew? This is what Miss Lena wrote this. She took my Chromebook because your sick hat colleague took my Chromebook because it says here, any laptops, computers, or tablets. Because your sick hat colleague, Lee LaRogue, has paid $91,000 to read my emails and go to the search history on the Chromebook. Because your sick hat colleague is trying to concoct a crime for me with a search warrant that's not a search warrant by reading my emails and look at the search history. That's the only reason to take the Chromebook. Isn't that right? Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paul C. Metzger, $91,000 a year, Lee LaRogue. So I was demanding salaries, Andrew, from your boss, Todd Baxter, and right here refused. See that? He refused. I just put this in the mail, certified mail. Did you write refused on here, Kathleen Miller? You paid $0 to write refused on here, Michael Rather. Did you write refused $101,000 William Tadeo? So, Andrew, why do you think I have this check here that says Office of the Sheriff? Because the employees at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office are animals. It's not an exaggeration. I'm walking over the County Dago National Bank on Penfield Road, and I see your vehicles passing me, and I dismiss it because I always see your vehicles on Penfield Road, just like I always see your vehicles in Whiteman's. I go to the bank, and I have $21.39 in my pocket. I withdrew $40 to bring it up to $61.39. So I have $61.39 in my pocket. I walk down Penfield and make a right on Sanders Farm Drive. I walk right by this parking lot, Andrew, that you can walk through without being arrested. Why is that? Why can you, Andrew, walk through this parking lot without being arrested? What makes your 14th Amendment right any different than mine? So I walk by there. I make a left on Willow Pond Way, and then I see them on Penfield pass me because they're following me. I walk past Crown Oak Estates, this low-income housing area. I walk in front of Wiggins. I get to the pharmacy and I see 5 Monroe County Sheriff Office vehicles converged upon me. One Monroe County Sheriff Office employee exited his vehicle, ran at me, lowered his shoulder, jammed his shoulder into my back. He knocked me down, and my head slammed against the concrete pavement. There I am on the concrete pavement, and my head is to the left after my head slammed against the pavement. Then I counted 11 employees, and I saw the 5 vehicles. This is fanaticism and hatred, Andrew. Would you agree there is fanaticism and hatred, Andrew? I guess it is. If you were asked, Andrew, is this fanaticism and hatred? Did he accurately describe fanaticism and hatred? What would your answer be? Because at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, there are Jonestown Kool-Aid drinkers. Any Jonestown Kool-Aid drinker would say, no, that's not fanaticism and hatred. So what's your answer, Andrew? I was violently attacked by Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Police Sheriff Todd Baxter. What's the name of this criminal that attacked me? The pharmacy has Wegmans that has 11 witnesses, and the witnesses are the employees of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. So I had to go get an MRI. And here it is right here. Your imaging was normal. I'm in that MRI tube, and the pain at one point was consuming. I'm sitting there, and one thing I do throughout my life since I run a bike and try to deal with the pain if you're racing, I'll say things to myself over and over. If I run a 5K and I'm trying to get through the pain, especially at 2.5 miles, I'll say things to myself. It's just a thing that I've done throughout my life as far as pain. But that's pain that I created because I'm running and I'm biking. And if I'm at the gym, I'll do the same thing. But this is what I'm telling you. It's not for narcissism. I'm in this MRI too, but there's pain behind my head. And I'm trying to do what I usually do to deal with pain. This mental device I've always used. And it is all consuming and it does not go away. And I'm saying to myself, I'm used to doing these exercises, just go away, go away, go away. And it doesn't work. And I know you probably think that sounds ridiculous. Well, people have different ways of dealing with pain. And I certainly had a different way that day when I'm in the MRI tube after I was attacked by one of your fellow fanatics at the sheriff's office. My head slammed against the concrete pavement. I'm thinking over and over and over, go away, stop. And it was unrelenting, this pain. And it finally stopped. I was in the MRI tube. So one of your fellow fanatics, degenerates, sociopaths at the sheriff's office, this guy is a criminal, committed a crime upon me. What's his name? Todd Baxter. And you refuse to tell me his name. The blue wall of Todd Baxter will prevent you from telling me his name. Rochester Regional Health. This is my personal physician's name. There's the check. I will never cash this check. So, Elliot. Pardon me, Andrew. I'm going to get to Elliot momentarily. I'm walking through his park lot one day, Andrew. This is what the Shannon Myers paid $67,000 to do. And this Elliot Roth who works here says to me, you're going to be arrested. So I'm demanding from this guy. Elliot, who told you I was going to be arrested? He refuses to open his mail. Elliot Roth again refuses to open his mail, not just putting it in the mail. This is the fanatic. This guy, Nayraj Shah. You know where he lives, Andrew. He lives right here. I'm walking through the park lot one day. This guy is screaming in his vehicle at me, Andrew, losing his mind. I don't know what that is. 4,000 times I've walked through his park lot, Andrew. My New York's 4,000 time criminal, Andrew. Screaming like a psychopath. I turn around. I say, what's the problem? He's still screaming. He doesn't want to talk. I walk away and tell him to go fuck himself, and I give him the official finger of Brooklyn, New York. He doesn't tell Shannon Meyer. He's screaming in his car. And the accusatory instrument for me, which is right here, Chichester began to swear at him, told me he didn't care if he called the police and displayed him no finger. Yeah, that's right, I did do that. What he doesn't say is he's screaming like a psychopath. This here delivers me to Monroe County Jail by Shannon Meyer. And you know what I did? I took every sentence in that. I responded to it. On the above dated approximately 1440 HRS, this disgusting $67,000 hack can't even spell out a word, which he's putting the screws to me. I responded to the above location for the report of a male trespassing. Every day people walk through his parking lot. After the fireworks at Harris Whalen Park in 2018 and 2019, I personally saw 200 people walk through his parking lot in a 15-minute period. Before the fireworks, Penfield High School band students were running through his parking lot. How is Shannon Meyer employed at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? This is the answer simple, because you're employed at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. V for victim. Shannon Meyer thinks this guy's a V for victim. So, I don't know how you work at that Jonestown, Andrew. I really don't. But you're a Kool-Aid drinker, so that's why you work at Jonestown. Do you own a dog, Andrew? Tens of millions of people own dogs. What would you think if you're walking your dog the same way you have every day, 7 years and 4,000 times, and there's the police at your door, Andrew? They're knocking on the door, give us your dog. What would you think if that happened to you? Do you own a dog? If you own a dog, I'll guess that when you're away from your residence and you come back to your residence, you open the door, you're really going to love to see your dog, because the dog brings joy to your life. So when Laura and I lived, my ex-girlfriend Laura and I, Reale, lived in Webster, we decided to adopt a dog. Because every dog deserves to be loved and every dog deserves to be home. So this is why I'm telling you this, Andrew. When Laura and I went to Lollipop Farm Humane Society, we were interviewed. And it is extensive. They do not just provide you with dog when you walk in the door and you walk out that day with the dog, because they have to do everything possible to screen people that want to adopt dogs to make sure that that dog is going to be loved and that dog is going to be cared for. Because anybody that harms a dog, there's a special place in hell with hellfire for that person. So Laura and I interviewed, and one of the questions Andrew, one of the questions were asked, how Lollipop Farm Humane Society, and Laura was sitting right next to me, is, have you ever been arrested? What do you think I replied, Andrew? What do you think my reply was to that when Laura was sitting right here next to me? I replied, no. I also have one speeding taking 30 years. That's it. So we were approved. And we took him home. And I had him for 8 years. He would sometimes go in the house and, you talk to your dog, why did you go in the house? You're not supposed to go in the house. He would jump up on the bed at night. And you know how I would know it was 3 o'clock in the morning, Andrew? Because Laura would say, get down. And then we would laugh. Because he always wanted to be near us and in the bed. And I have another 5,000 boring dog stories, but that's my favorite because it makes me think of Laura. Him jumping up on the bed, and then she would say, get down, and then we laugh and we go back to sleep. So Andrew, there he is. His name was Alex, and I changed his name because when I worked as United States Senate staffer on Capitol Hill, I worked with Alex Heck. No dog of mine is going to be named after someone I used to work with. So if you're a boxing fan and you know Ray Mancini was the former WBA lightweight champion in the world, and I named him after Ray Mancini, who won the title in a brilliant second-round knockout against Arturo Frias and almost went the distance to 15 rounds with the great Alexis Arguello. So he's named after Ray Mancini, otherwise known as Boom Boom, because my little guy's a champion. All I'm doing, Andrew, is walking him the same way every day for 7 years and 4,000 times. The window from this repulsive shack, the Shaw law firm, is opened, and I hear screaming, Andrew. That's what they do with this Shaw law firm. They're screaming at me. And all I'm doing is walking my dog the same way every day for 7 years. And what I'm looking for is to show you the distance, because I couldn't see or hear anything when they were screaming at me. So they're screaming at me. And I don't know why they were screaming at me. This is what I'm looking for. I want to show you. You see this, Andrew? These are the parasites that Shannon Myers unleashed upon me. I'm over here, Andrew. Way down here. They're over here. You see that distance? I can't hear what this woman is screaming. I know she's screaming, but I don't know what it is. All I'm doing is walking my dog, Andrew. You see that distance? An hour later, there's a pounding on my door. You are psychopaths at the sheriff's office. Look at that YouTube I call hatred. They're pounding on my door that day, pounding on the side door. Psychopaths. You work with psychopaths and you are one. You should charge me an harassment second. I'm not harassing you. So there's that distance. An hour later, here you are, tomorrow. 2 Monroe County Sheriff Office employees and an individual from Animal Control are here, demanding my dog. Fanatic, degenerate, sociopath Todd Baxter employs fanatic, degenerate, sociopath. The guy from Animal Control has a pole in his hand. It's about a 10-foot pole. At the top of the pole is a noose. I'm looking at these 3 stooges, and especially the guy with the pole. Where's that pole going to go around his neck? This is a Shih Tzu. It's not an 80, 90, 100-pound dog. I'm there at the door alone, and they are demanding my dog a vicious confrontation. Andrew Reale, $79,088 to Monroe County Sheriff's Office. I say, you'll have to kill me to take my little guy from me. It should never happen in the United States of America to an innocent man who's only walking his dog. My neighbor witnesses. Since I'm attached to another house, my neighbors witness a lot of what's happened to me, including this. I say, you'll have to kill me to take my little guy from me. I slammed the door in the faces. 2 minutes. Todd Baxter. What's the name of those 2 employees? This is why there's no accountability from you, you bald-headed, party-switching degenerate. What's their names? It's not every day you show up to the house of this man and demand his dog. What's their names? You refuse to tell me. So when I slammed the door in their faces, I went back to his bed, his dog bed my mom and dad got me, and he was shaking in his bed. I picked him up and I held him over my shoulder, and he was shaking. I had to keep it together, and that's the first time I've had to try to keep it together, given this descent on my life. Oh, you disgusting hacks at the sheriff's office. So, how do you come to my house and demand my dog? All I'm doing is walking him the same way every day for 7 years and 4,000 times. So then, Andrew, when I was released from Monroe County Jail, I had to go back to Lollipop and re-interview to get him. And while I was at jail, taken to jail without the prosecutor talking, Steve Schicker, dog seizure and disposition. I have to keep it together when I look at that. Dog seizure and disposition. Dog seizure and disposition. Steve Schicker is the animal control officer. When I went to Penfield Town Court expecting to come home, where the prosecutor doesn't talk, Andrew, here it is. This is how Steve Schicker gets in my house. My little guy was in the house by himself. And so, when I got to the jail, I went to the circular desk, and there is this perfect man at the circular desk. He has a striking appearance. He looks like he could be a Hollywood film star. He's about 6 foot, 180 pounds. He's got a bald head. And I have really rarely seen a man look like this guy. He looks like he could be right next to Bruce Willis in the movies. So I go to the desk and I tell him, I didn't know I was going to be here. I've never committed a crime. I was just ruled guilty in Penfield Town Court. My dog's in my house. And this perfect man arranged for someone. And that someone is Steve Schicker. Town of Penfield Animal Services to come into my house. Dog seizure and disposition. That's my little guy. Dog seizure and disposition. This should never happen in the United States of America to an innocent man. Who am I harassing, Andrew? So, this foil here, Todd Baxter's refused to comply with. There were 16 in here. This is the one. That's first, because this is the one I'm most interested in. The internal disciplinary records documentation for employees at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Todd Baxter. That Sheriff Todd K. Baxter is reprimanded, terminated, disciplinary employment at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. What's the disciplinary process for employees like you? $79,088 entry Reale. And the answer from Todd Baxter is he doesn't discipline his employees. Or, if he does, he will refuse to make it public. So, why, Andrew? Why did you do to me what you did to me? Who am I harassing, Andrew? I've never harassed anybody in my life. So, Andrew, I hope what has happened to me never happens to you.